I mean, you're kind of late to the game in that sense, but why now? Why the autobiography?
I get asked so many times, what was it like being in the Smiths?
Yeah.
And to say brilliant doesn't really do it justice. So I thought maybe I should commit to print and actually kind of explain in detail a little bit more about the experiences that I had.
Did you know where to start? I mean, because there's a lot to fit in.
Yes, there is, and there's a lot that's been left out because, I mean, it's only 300 pages, but, you know, I think a 600-page book may be too much, but I tried to condense it down and make it more succinct and kind of talking about certain elements, but I could have gone on for, yeah, like I said, twice the amount of pages that were in there.
It's a very positive book. You seem like an incredibly positive person, which maybe is sort of the required, or when people think about the Smiths, they sort of think about down subjects and things, and you're not that person at all, are you?
No, I know what you mean to a certain extent. People that think that the Smiths are down and miserable don't really get the Smiths, I think. There's a lot of humour in there, you know. It's lazy journalism, I think, a lot of the time when people talk about the Smiths being miserable. It's the same with, you know, saying about the Smiths live and saying, I think they're a bit boring. The people that say that never saw the Smiths live.
Yeah, and you talk about, I mean, it goes right from your childhood, which was very, very near here, growing up around here, and it's a really sort of lovely picture. Oh, there you are, look. It's a lovely picture of growing up in this part of the world and how difficult it was. There wasn't a lot of money in the family, but it was a really happy family, a very supportive family.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I had a terrible accident. I'm going to talk about it in the book when I was a kid. And being the youngest of 5 siblings, I'm always going to get the special treatment, being the youngest. Then the fact that I kind of nearly wasn't around after this accident, then that kind of laid it on even thicker, really, in terms of mum and dad.
But you milked it, right? So you nearly got run over. This is the story.
Well,
you did get run over.
I did, yeah.
Really seriously, in the snow, and a van skidded, didn't it? But you were able to milk it in the family. You were like the favoured child, then, weren't you?
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, being the youngest of 5, I was getting that treatment anyway. But I mean, I think if it would, you know, my mum would have asked me, you know, do you want the moon? She would have said, yeah. What do you want, full, crescent, or half? I think it was, I was spoilt terribly.
So let's talk about the band, because you were still really, really young when the Smiths got together. So how did you meet? How did the Smiths form?
I got a call from a mate of mine, Pete Hope, that I was living with at the time, and he said, Johnny Marr is looking for a drummer. A mate of his, mutual friend, and he said, you know, maybe you should go down and have a play with these guys and see how that'll work out. And I did, and I liked what I heard, and I thought it was brilliant, actually. I was fascinated by I'd never worked with a guitarist with that kind of level of proficiency, really, and virtuosity. Absolutely incredible. So I was smitten from that very first day, you know. So that was it then, I was in.
I was really taken in by how quickly it all happened.
Yeah.
Because as a band, you know, not together for a very long time, but even in those early days, like sort of 1983, I think you played the Hacienda the first time, and there was, you know, a few people there. By the time you played it the third time, I mean, it was the hottest ticket. I mean, that speed of that ascent was incredible. Yeah,
meteoric, I suppose, is the term that's been used, and it's kind of right, because when, like you said there, when we played the Hacienda the first time, I think it was in February, and there was, you know, we finished the song, and then there'd be... and that was it. And then 9 months later, when we played the third time that we played later on that year, St John's ambulance was there to kind of taking people out that had fainted, and kind of, it was a very, very different situation, but it all happened very quickly.
So what happened in that intervening period? How would you describe why it took off so quickly?
Because we're a great band, I suppose, essentially. You know, people decide what they like and what they don't like, you know, regardless.
Well, some bands would have a slow build, wouldn't they? They'd kind of, you know, get known and people would discover them and it'd be word of mouth. And this is before social media and the internet and all that sort of thing. How did word get out?
Just by the fact of us playing concerts. And obviously the reaction that we got from those concerts, really, that's how the word of mouth kind of spread, by the fact that we were great live, you know, and I mean, obviously the records helped as well, you know, and I mean, Hand in Glove had come out, and our first single, and I mean, it's a great single. I mean, obviously I'm going to be biased, but I'd never heard anything like that before. I've never heard anything like that since, actually.
We're just, I mean, looking at you now in your heyday. There you are. Oh, do you remember those sort of days? That top of the Pops?
Top of the Pops, of course I do. Yeah, Top of the Pops is massive, you know. And at the time, there was no other. Well, I mean, there was a few other outlets, but the people decide whether, you know, what you were just saying there, you know, that kind of rise. You know, people decide. The reason why you get on Top of the Pops is because people have bought your record. A lot of people have bought your record, and it's indicative of kind of your success of being on top of the Pops and being in the charts. People deciding whether they like what they're hearing or not, as the case may be.
And they did for a relatively short amount of time, as in you were together for a relatively short amount of time, and it ended so suddenly. What, after 3, 4 years? 4,
well, 5 in total, but 4 years with Andy. Yes, it did. But I suppose every band has a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, but yours was so abrupt.
It was, but as I said, you know, sometimes you can be kind of on the, you know, the precipitous kind of downward kind of, you know, in terms of popularity, and you're playing to gigs and you're not selling any tickets anymore.
Quit while you're hot.
Sorry?
Quit while you're hot.
Well, I don't think that's what Johnny's kind of intention was, but the fact that I think I mean, you know, 4 albums in 4 years, studio albums, and, you know, 18 singles and what have you. You know, we crammed a lot in. I know bands that probably release 1 album every 4 years, and we did a lot in that time. And like I said, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the fact that it did end, it was going to end at some point.
Do you miss it?
No, because I'm playing with Pete Doherty at the moment, and that's fantastic. I'm really enjoying that. I've done some gigs with him last year, and I'm playing doing a tour next year. I really enjoy playing with people that I like playing with. I mean, obviously, I don't miss playing with Johnny and Andy and Morrissey. It was then, and I've played with loads of other bands since. Playing with people that I like playing with, I can still get the same buzz.
Can you ever see yourself getting back on the stage? Not with the two of them, obviously. We know Andy unfortunately died in May 2023 from pancreatic cancer, but with Morrissey and Johnny Marr, do you ever see a time when you might ever get on stage with either of them, not as the Smiths, but as playing together?
I doubt it. I really doubt it. I saw, my daughter, Livy, sent me a clip of Johnny talking about the band getting back together again. And he said that they were offered, he was offered a 9-figure sum. Now, I'm not great at maths, but I know what 6 noughts means. So with 3 in front of it, 3 figures, that's a lot of money. And he said no. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Oh, well, it's lovely to speak to you anyway, and enjoy what you're doing now and playing with Pete Doherty.
Nice.
Very exciting.
Nice
really
to see you,
nice
Mike.
to see you,
Cheers,
Mike.
thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Mike's autobiography, it's called The Drum.